Mic check 1 2 1 2.
3 4 3 4.
Of course you come with the 3 4. You know, you could have just echoed the mic check 1 2 1 2. You could have been like 1 2 1 2.
I want it to be my own individual. So how many people do you hear do mic checks and say 3 4? You don't hear it a lot, right? So I'm paving my own way, you know.
Yeah,
it's that catch on. Y'all take that. Y'all take it and make it catch on like fire.
Yeah. So, only like Nikki can do. She gonna come with the 3 4. Well, 3 does naturally go out. 3 comes right after 2 1 2.
Exactly.
So
y'all, this is how things start, right? Like it just takes one person to say something, and then someone else takes it and keeps it going. So I want y'all to keep the Nikki way going, and I want y'all to say 3 4 after mic check, okay? And we'll remember this day in 2023.
Something like that.
Yes.
What is up to everybody in the
y'all.
chat? Gracious greatness across the pond. The brother says, hey, y'all, I'm here watching, listening, and learning. Soon to be sleeping because it's past 2 over here. I know that's right, brother.
Oh,
I feel you.
Well, we appreciate
Shout out to gracious greatness. Holding it down across the pond.
Yes.
I'll probably watch. Check out the replay, brother. But we know that you with us in spirit, bro. Shout out to Chelsea up in Detroit. Listen, it got a little cool down here in Dallas, so I know it got to be bone cold up there in Detroit.
It did, and it's crazy because it was like 80 something yesterday and the day before. We didn't need a coat or anything.
It was like 81, then it was 83. I'm like,
it was beautiful.
Beautiful. That's all right. We got some 70-degree days coming. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It made me want to be on the lake somewhere with a pole in the water, a line in the water.
I know. Me too. Me too. But we just got caught up in the moment. Had some other things to do. He said, by the way, you always have such vibrant opening tracks, Jermaine. Blessings to y'all, y'all. Amen. Amen.
God bless you too.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. But anyways, y'all, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with our little opening.
Yeah, and so our opening is a little somber, to be honest. There's been some things weighing heavy on my heart, just because we've been hearing a lot about individuals, some that we know personally, some that we just know of, but it just seems like there's been a lot of people transitioning, passing away. And so, I was just talking to Jermaine the other day about the brevity of life, how brief it is. And, you think, or it's easy to think that you have all this time to go. But, we've talked about this before on our channel about how you never really know how old you are because you just don't know when your appointed time will be. Yeah. And so, one of the individuals was very young, and it's been weighing heavily on my heart. The other individual that we know of, and he's a well-known gospel artist. Mm-hmm. And we looked on his Facebook page, and he had just did a live, like a couple days before the announcement of his transitioning. And it's just like, and it's sudden. So not just hearing about individuals passing away, but these that we've been hearing about, like within the last week, it's been like sudden. Unexpected death, mm-hmm. And then tell everyone what you told me about how what the only requirement is.
The only requirement to die is to just be alive.
Is to be alive. And so it just reminds you to really just cherish every single moment and make the most of every single moment. And this wasn't even intentional, but like literally right before we started, what connection I made to?
What?
We have Martin Luther King Day coming up, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I was even thinking about even him. He was only 39, I think, when he passed away, and his was sudden as well. Mm-hmm. And one of his mentors, a person that kind of coached him, Dr. Benjamin E. Mays. Mm-hmm. You've heard of Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays. Mm-hmm. He wrote this poem called 1 Minute. Have you heard it?
jog my memory if you would.
Okay, let me pull it up because
Because you get to go and I might be like, yeah, I remember that, but
and
not at the moment.
y'all put some comments in the chat if you've heard
Yeah, put a one in the chat if you have heard it when she gets started. Put a one in the chat if you have.
And it's called I Have Only Just a Minute.
Mm.
And so I'm just gonna read it. He said, I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it. But it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it. Give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute. But eternity is in it. And so it just kind of like makes you think about how precious every moment is and how we have to really be intentional about how we use our time because we just really, we don't know, y'all. We don't know when that time will be. So, just kind of did flow into it wasn't even, on purpose like that. But, we are about to be recognizing and commemorating Dr. King,
the life of
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. coming up here this weekend. So just food for thought to kind of keep in mind as we go, throughout each day.
Man. Yeah. So not to, we didn't mean to start on such a somber note, but hey, when the Spirit leads you, you know what I'm saying? We gotta be obedient to what the Lord is putting on our heart at the time.
Yeah.
And let the Holy Ghost lead us at all times. What up, Seiko, bro? How you doing? Cuz good to see you down in Houston.
It sounds like we have some static based on the chat.
Yeah. So listen, y'all know how these lives be going, y'all. Y'all know how these lives go. Let me double check. Let me check the.
You'll have to give us some feedback in the in the chat.
There's always something. I'm telling y'all. Y'all know how these crazy lives go. Are we good now?
Hopefully that's a little bit better.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, yeah, because I can't really hear it.
So we do have a little switch for our live tonight. I honestly am going to be surprised. Jermaine, you want to tell everybody what's coming up? Because you told me that you wanted me to be kind of surprising. Y'all get a real reaction because I really don't know everything that we're talking about. And he did it like that on purpose.
Yeah, on purpose because I know what's coming up, but like I wanted y'all to see the authentic, real-time reaction from my wife Nikki. And yeah. So tonight we're going to be talking about a plethora of things, y'all. We're going to be dealing with we're going to be talking about joint bank accounts, and then we're also going to be talking about, briefly wills to allude like a little prelude to something, else with the prenups. We're going to be talking about that. That's going to lead into some other conversations. I don't want to give it all away at one time, but y'all, I really hope y'all bear with us on this, but we look forward to just trying new things and giving commentary on a video we're about to go into here in a minute. But before we go into that, y'all listen, I know that this is a conversation that causes a lot of friction. It depends on what couple we're talking about. Okay, if a couple disagrees with this viewpoint, or sometimes even if they agree, it all depends. Some people agree that you should have separate bank accounts, and then some couples agree that you should have joint bank accounts. Now, before we tell y'all, and I think probably in previous lives, y'all know exactly where we stand on this. But for the people who, let's just say this, for the people who argue that you should have single or separate bank accounts, baby, what do you think? What do you think some of their arguments might be?
Some may say, well, I want to make sure that I have some cushion or have something to fall back on. Or if something happens to one account, you have the other one for an emergency. That's what some may say. Or some people may just be used to having their own money to work with, especially if they've been, on their own for a while. this mic, I can't get it where I want it to go. Is
Okay,
that good?
better?
Okay.
Don't be like Sister Sharon down in Houston, because Sister Sharon down in Houston be giving Seiko fits over the mic.
No,
She
but
be
it's like
I don't want
irritating
it
me
too close and all this other
because.
stuff. I mean, is
Okay.
it good?
I
Is
think
it
so.
stable? As long as
Yeah.
it don't fall, we straight.
Okay. I think that's better.
What was we talking about? Okay, yeah, yeah. So the whole thing with having single or separate bank accounts.
And hey, Sister Sharon, if you're watching.
Yeah, we know Seiko is we know that brother Seiko loves us, but but Sister Sharon, sometimes
We
she
love
here,
you too,
sometimes
Sister
she ain't.
Sharon.
So we gotta see it. If she appears on this live, then we'll know. We'll know. But other than that, it's up in the air for Sister Sharon.
If
Yeah,
not, he can pass the word on it. We said hello.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's just different reasons out there. I'll be able to speak more to the other point of view, probably.
So you're just giving away what we. Okay, well, yeah, and I think some people argue maybe to have separate bank accounts because they say, hey, what if I want to surprise my spouse with something? And if we had the same bank account, then it's going to be hard for me to like surprise them for their birthday, surprise them for an anniversary, surprise them for any type of special event, you know what I'm saying? Name it. Um, but I can only go with that, but for so far, you know what I'm saying? I can only go with that for, because a way to go get around that is, if you have enough credit, you can have a credit card. And if you want to pay for some expense or buy them something or something like that, or book something without them knowing to surprise them, that's what they got credit cards for,
But
so
some people may want to be debt free.
well, you know what?
And they may not want to have credit.
I'll tell you what you can do. You can be debt free, charge that mug, and how about this? Pay it off when it comes due or before it comes due. That way you ain't got no debt. How about that? Because Jermaine know all the tricks. You know what I'm saying? Jermaine know all the tricks.
So you
smoke. Yeah.
I think that was the wrong sound effect.
Oh, well, really? Well, how about this?
From the streets.
Yeah.
Definitely don't want that.
Yeah. How about that? But anyways, yeah. So I mean, I think there's ways around it. Like, I think that and I guess we're just gonna go ahead and say it. We believe in joint bank accounts. We do, and that's how we function. We've been married for 18 years at this point. Baby, do you realize this August it'll be 19 years?
I know, right?
Oh my gosh, this same year, like we're almost closer to 19 than we are from almost. Anyways, we creeping up on 19 years. I ain't gonna start saying 19 too prematurely, but I'm gonna just let y'all listen. But I'm gonna just as long as we have been married, we've always had one bank account, and I think the coolness or the benefits to having one bank account is, for one, you can't hide nothing. All right. Let's stay on that little talking point just for a minute. You can't hide nothing. All right. Now, what would be the purpose of hiding something if we came into this marriage realizing and understanding the fact that now the two shall become one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we realize the two shall become one, then there's no need to try to hide something from the spouse, because the only reason you might want to hide something from the spouse is, for one, you doing something untrustworthy. Shout out to somebody. Or
if you're trying to treat yourself to Red Lobster without asking your spouse, and
now you telling on yourself. See, because that's what you would do. That's what she is basically saying. She's admitting
From the streets.
She will do it by hook or crook. She will find a way to go get some food, namely mostly sweets that she wants. All right.
You don't have to talk about me. Not on live.
What, you put yourself out there now.
I didn't say the sweets part.
Let me tell you what she'll do. No, I'm not gonna do that. I gotta sleep with her tonight.
Right.
And I ain't never slept on the couch in all the 18 years we've been married. But anyways, hold on. Seiko said, "Got him."
But it's funny because even when I do it, I already know. Like you always sense, even before you look at the account, you're like, "What you done did?"
Oh, I'll find a way. It's just something about you. Like it'll be some delay in coming home. It'll be some uneasiness in her talk, in her speech.
There is no uneasy.
Yeah, you be like, no, this is what she do. This is what she do. Okay. She answers questions without answering the question. So I'll be like, hey, babe, where you at? You know what I'm saying?
And I'll say, I'm en route.
Very vague. Oh, I'm en route. Wait a minute. I said, no, where you at? You know, are you in Cedar Hill? Are you in DeSoto? Where you at? What, you know what I'm saying?
Location out there like that.
Well, we live in the Dallas Metroplex, you know what I'm saying? But no, for real though. Okay, so and I'll be like, it'll be something. I'll be like, so what you doing? And you're like, oh, I'm just driving. Yeah, I know you're driving, but okay, so are you on your way home? Are you making a stop first? Why we gotta ask so many questions? I'm on my way. Yeah, see, yeah. Because I'll be trying to figure out. Shout out to Big Mo with the super chat. Yeah, we appreciate it, brother. How you doing, Sister Chelsea? How you doing? Cure for the Soul. Oh, Chelsea, don't think you all that. We already said something to you. But anyways, Sister Latanya, how you doing? Great to see you as well. But anyways, yeah. Seiko said expose it, bro. But now listen. So anyways, let me get back on track. Okay. So
and just a disclaimer. I don't do that often. It's just only when how sometimes like as a wife and a mom, you might just want to treat yourself to something every now and then just to have a little me time. And so maybe I just want to go grab something from Red Lobster. Maybe I just want a little nothing but cake. I don't know. Just something.
And shout out to her because Nicole's not a very she doesn't spend a whole bunch. She's not one of those big spenders that have your pocket on full flats, on a Cadillac. And she's not that type of spender. She's very I can say that I've been blessed with a very disciplined wife. All right. I don't know, that may be triggering to some of y'all who that word disciplined, but yeah, she's a very disciplined spender, and I really love that about her. But no, the two reasons I can think of right off the dome as to why you would want to have separate bank accounts. For one, if you hiding something, and two would be so you can. What was my second point? You can hide something, or what is the other one? What was I thinking about?
I don't know, because remember, this is a surprise for me too.
Man, anyways, yeah. So either there we go. So you can hide something, or I forgot the second point. You got something to hide, or you don't want her to know, or your spouse to know, because we don't do partners up in this mug. All right, we're exclusive. Those are two exclusive occupations, husband and wife. Can't nobody share that title. So you ought to feel good about that. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah, you too.
Right, yeah, she loves me. Go ahead and give me the little pat on the back. Yeah, she knows I hate that. Whenever she gives me a kiss and does a little pat, I hate it. It's like a little animal, like a little pet. Like, here you go, fella.
That's not what I do.
No, that ain't what she do. But she knows we'll joke around. I can't stand people do that. They give you a little peck and little pat. Oh, there you go. Off on your way. No, nigga, what are we doing? I will tongue you down in front of all the world. All the world.
What are you doing?
I will. I really will. Yeah, Dermy.
Am I turning red yet?
Them light skin problems right there. Anyways, I will say this. Yeah, there we go. See, Heidi, thank you.
Black and Is that
what it was? Yes. So the reason why you would want to have separate bank accounts is, for one, if you want to hide something, and two, if you don't trust the other person. All right. And that's very big, because I think anytime you come into a marriage, I don't think you should get married without having that trust. I think trust is the bedrock of any marriage. Now, I can say this. There's levels to this game, all right? You might trust them, but then as you grow together, the level of trust only gets stronger. Like, I'll never forget, like, because me and my wife, we've been through a whole lot. We've been through a whole lot. And like, I remember like the time when I had lost my job, the conversation was never, oh, well, let me go ahead and pocket what I got, what I bring in until no, it was, she held it down, you know what I'm saying, until I got another job. And we trusted each other because we realized that we were one.
Yeah.
And I think anytime you go into a marriage with a distorted view or a perverted view of the relationship, of the marriage, of the covenant, and we're going to get into that covenant a little bit more down the line. But anytime you go into it with a misunderstanding as to what you really signed up for, it only leads to more and more and more problems.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and like you were saying, like with the joint account, I just remember when we were preparing to get married and, our pastor speaking to us before marriage, and he was just sharing the point about, how if you're truly one, and that's just how he and his wife operate, and everybody has, different ways that you operate, but that does work for us. Like, we really went into it with the perspective of even our funds are one, because it's like, it's not your lights and my water, or
Yeah.
or okay, you're paying this and I'm paying that. Like, we really view it as we're putting it all into one pot, because we're both, and when I say all, the whole family, we're benefiting from what we're both bringing in. So we, like, even when it's his payday, we don't just say, you got paid. It's like, oh, we
got paid.
Yeah. So that's just how we have always viewed it.
Yeah, man. And honestly, I think it's, it's easy to do all the lip service, but when you put money in it, for whatever reason, that seems like you put a little skin in the game. Like, you know what I'm saying? At that point, you got something to lose. Cause like, chick, listen, you could take all the money out the account and just skip town. You know what I'm saying? She would never do that, but I'm just saying. But like, when you start to put your money where your mouth is, it becomes more than just word salad, more than just lip service. It becomes to the point, it gets to that point to where you're like, okay, hold up. Are we really about this? Like, this whole thing where we're one? Oh, this is really how we feel. How do I know? Because we live in the reality, in a headspace to where we live knowing fully well that if the lights don't get paid, both of us is suffering.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Both. BOAF. Both. Both of us is suffering.
Right.
All right.
Right.
If the water don't get paid, we both going thirsty. Unless we go to some 7-Eleven or something, go to Walmart, go get. If food is not up in the crib, both of us, for one, losing weight, and we going hungry.
Yeah.
And the kids will go crazy.
Together. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at malnutrition. Stomach swole up before the wrong reason.
Oh my God.
But but seriously though, like, when you put your money where your mouth is, you really seem like you're vested at that point. And I think that the people who live in this reality, or this headspace to where, hey, you know what? I'm only going so far with this, are the people who have reservations about having joint accounts.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about no situations where you have blended families and all this alimony, child support coming. I ain't talking about that. I'm not talking about those situations. But in an ideal situation, shout out to my brother Seiko, because I know him and Sharon, they do the same thing. You would have a joint account. I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I hope I forget what I was going to say. Oh my goodness. it also can depend on like your background and how you were raised. Not to say that, but I'm just saying as far as what you've been taught, because but you can overcome that, because like, even you've heard me talk about how I was raised by a single mom, and not that she necessarily did it, but you had some older women or even just older single women in the church who would be like, honey, make sure you put you a nest egg to the side. And we don't necessarily believe in that. I mean, I think it's good as a couple to have some savings to fall back on for a rainy day. But as far as a nest egg, something that your spouse doesn't know about, so that in case something goes wrong, then you're setting yourself up. It's almost like you're anticipating for things to fail.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and shout out to the mothers and the old mothers and the ones who did their best. But some of the stuff y'all taught these women about having your little nest egg to the side that he don't know about, some secret account, that stuff is toxic. And if you really take time to think about what you see at our family reunions, what you see at the family cookout, what you see at Thanksgiving, you don't see a whole bunch of male husband and wife teams coming. You see old grandmamas, old grannies, I know, listen, this is what we see. No, I'm not trying to, cast shade on, but this is the reality, especially within our demographic. You see old aunties with now one of them got a husband. And what they do is they pass that same mentality of, because they've been single, some of them their whole life, ain't never been married, ain't sniffed the ring. You see what I'm saying? Ain't none of them ever sniffed the ring, But then they pass that old sage fake wisdom down and say, baby, I'm just trying to teach you. No, what you're doing is you're projecting this toxic, because people always want to talk about this whole fake term of the toxic masculinity. Well, there's toxic femininity, all right? And one of the toxic things is to keep stuff away from your husband. And vice versa, for husbands to keep them a little stash so they can go act the fool, have their little no, listen,
so
if
that's
you
a thing too. Is that something that is
I don't know, no, but you know what? I cannot say that. I can't say it because I know my daddy, he just took stuff. He had him a muscle car. He had him a Mustang he worked on, and I know that man spent up to 10 to 12 grand on that mug just fixing it up in the garage. And it wasn't nothing secret, so I can't really speak to that. Seiko and Gracious Greatness across the pine. Do y'all know if men do that? I don't know no dudes that did that. I don't know of one. Now, I've heard of women doing it, but I don't know for sure if
I don't know. Is that a thing? Because traditionally, how it used to be, to where the man was more so, the one bringing in the income.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does it have anything to do with that? Before women started working outside of the home? I don't know.
So tradition. Now you got career driven men, which is cool, but you also got bums, certified bums that don't think it's any problem with living off of a woman. I'm like, dude, what is you're 32, Negro, and I would say a stronger word, get off the games. All right. Stop playing Sony PlayStation. Stop playing Xbox. Nigga, get into reality. It is not cool to be laid up under some woman, expecting her. I'm not saying that all brothers do this, but there's a few of us out there that do that. Okay, Seiko, you said repeat the question. Do you know of any men that have a secret stash or who have practiced having funds hidden away from their wives? I don't know of any men that do that. Shout out to Sister Sharon. She showed up, so she really do love us. She do love us. So she was a little suspect at first, she was
not for me. I had
she was on shaky ground.
I was saying, hey, the whole time. I knew you would be here.
Of course you did, because you shaky with the mic just like she is.
I'm not.
You sitting up here juggling with the mic. I don't know what's wrong with this mic. You do just like her.
No, I don't. You know what? I'm not gonna let him talk about you. She just wants it a particular way.
You ain't gonna let me steal your joy, huh?
No.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, that sounds good in the Bible. That sounds good in the Bible, not up in here.
What more do you want from me?
All right.
That's a song. That's not a verse.
I know. But it's all based on the verse. But it's all based on the
The
verse, though.
joy of the Lord is my strength.
Yeah, there you go.
But then the song says, "This joy I have.
Yeah.
The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away."
Well, Jermaine can.
Not up in here.
Not up in here.
Not today, sirs.
Okay. So, yeah. So, anyways, we would say that, listen, having a joint bank account, what that does, what it speaks, what it says about your marriage. All right. Now, I don't agree with these folks who be trying to, some folk like to play house. You know that little game used to do? You used to have a little Ken and Barbie. Some of y'all had the black Barbies. I never had no Ken, ain't never had no Barbies, and none of that. All right. We had Transformers, Thundercats, and all that other stuff. But anyways, when we get around our little cousins and stuff, you know, we play house and all that stuff. But we got folks who are in their 40s still playing house, still acting like they married, and they not married. All right. I ain't talking about y'all folk playing house, shacking up. I ain't talking about that. Yeah, I did say shacking up. All right. We're not talking about them. We're not talking about these folk who be talking about, girl, yes, shoot. We is married. He got me a ring, and you ain't sniffed the wedding. We ain't talking about that. We talking about folks who have actually walked down that aisle, said, till death do we part. Yes, I will. I do. Whatever one you said, I will, I do, all this stuff. So we talking about people who are vested in this mug, all right, under the government and the covenant agreement with the Lord. All right, that's what we talking about. All right. For those of us who have done that, who have made that journey, yeah, have a joint bank account. But don't be playing house. Don't be doing all that stuff. Talking about, I'm gonna get her out of debt. I'm gonna get no. This whole fix them up before. No. Get all that stuff scraped.
I'm glad that you brought up the point. I think that's very important that we're talking about, that we reiterate or iterate the fact that we are talking about marriage, joint accounts and marriage, because I think that's key, because there could be somebody who's preparing for marriage or not married, quite yet. If you are not married, I would not recommend
no
a joint account, because you are not in covenant. So that person could
pop
up
yes,
at any point in time and disappear.
These folks talking about some funds. Yeah. These folks sitting up here simping to these chicks talking about stop lying. All right. I know that you smelling the draws, and I know you got the puppy love going, but until you then paid the cost, all right, y'all not married, don't start playing house. Y'all got the whole rest of y'all lives, as long as you're alive and you don't get a divorce, to do that. All right, but don't do it prematurely, because it's some dudes or it's some women that when y'all talking about joint account will dip out on you 20 minutes before the wedding, and you ain't never seeing them again. Okay, and you have no legal recourse on that at all.
Yeah. At all. And Chavis brings up a good point. Hey, Chavis. I am saying that right?
Chavis.
Okay, yeah. Because I know exactly who you are. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name right. Said that person could be a super scammer.
Oh, yeah.
You want to put that up on the screen? And that's true. I mean, they could be acting like they're someone they're not, or, in that infatuation stage and showing you their best side, and you haven't seen all sides, and then there's no covenant agreement. So at any point it could go left. They can disappear.
What can you read that? Position for millions. I think this is our first time seeing this sister on here, but we appreciate you for showing up. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Y'all know what's up. Y'all know how it TI is. But if you could read her.
Okay,
she got two of them.
Okay, so she says men and women with resources secure in trust before the marriage, so they technically don't own anything.
All right. Don't own anything. All right.
Okay. And then you want me to read this one too?
Oh, yeah.
My friend has an account where she stashes funds. Her husband knows she has the account and he doesn't ask what's there. But they know that the family, I want to say, okay, I'm trying.
But her know if the family get in pinch.
maybe she knows if the family gets in a pinch,
Yeah,
she
see,
will come through.
yeah, and that sounds really good, but honestly, I don't think that that's an optimal way. Now, listen, if that works for them, to each his own, I guess, but we're not gonna push that because I don't agree. Like, that's fine. That means this brother may not have, and this may speak to the lack of discipline he might have with maybe funds. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause so it shouldn't be to where, hey, I have this little secret stash away because, hey,
But it
if
sounds
it,
like it's not secret. That sounds like something.
oh yeah,
that
and he don't
maybe
ask
they
what, but see, I
don't
think
know.
you need to always be aware. And we're gonna get into that in a minute. You need to always be aware of what is in what y'all have. What are y'all working with? Because if something goes down, say for instance, she goes into a coma, he has to know what's in that. He has to know. He has to know, hey, listen, if they have to get, like, if something happens where they got to get a power of attorney or something, like, he needs to be in the know. It's too many folk who live in the blind. All right. And then they get blindsided and be like, well, I didn't even know. Yeah. You don't know. Listen, there are folks who have secrets. I don't believe that we need to live in this world of secret. If you live in a world of secret, at some point or another, I don't care what you say, at some point or another, if you do things secretly or you have something hidden away and somebody doesn't know this, that, and the other, somewhere in that relationship, there is a trust. That it may be subtle, it may be small, or it could be something that has grown over time, but it is not optimal or it's not the best practice to have things in secret. And we're only speaking off experience. You know, we talked to other people who have been actually married longer than us, and they would say the same thing. I just don't think it's a wise practice for any spouse, for a husband to have some stash that she don't know about. You know, he knows about it, but he don't know how much money's in there, and vice versa. I think we need to be totally transparent. You know, one of the reasons, I'm going to tell you why, one of the reasons, and we're going to talk about the church here real quick. One of the reasons why people are so hesitant to give to the church, is because oftentimes the pastors, especially in the Black church, because the pastors are not transparent with the books. They don't have financial meetings. They don't say, hey, this is what we're working with, this is what we're working towards. They don't have financial meetings. And for that reason, some people just hold on to the money. Now, some people hold on to the money because they just stingy. But then some people hold on to the money because they just don't trust the dude. All right. And so I believe the transparency is the best way to go about it.
And that's why it's a and we have seen that even with our church home. That's why the congregation is not hesitant to give, because our pastor is so transparent. He'll call meetings, he'll let you know exactly what's there, what is being spent on. And he's a giver. You know, he loves to bless others, and it just flows from the top down. And Chavis, I saw, thank you for helping me with the pronunciation. I apologize for mispronouncing it earlier. But he says secrets can be a landmine waiting to be stepped on. So yeah, you know what movie it made me think of?
What?
What is it? A Family That Prays by Tyler Perry. Remember how she had all that stuff and she had all that money, and he was like, didn't he ask the question like where'd it come from or something?
Where did the money come from? Like from my man.
Yeah. And so that goes back to your point. It's like, okay, you have something that you're doing that you're not.
That's when he did an about face. It came back with the fire.
I know
y'all know. Listen, y'all know the scene I'm talking about where she was like, he's my man, Chris. He did an about face and came around with the smoke. Y'all know, put a one in the chat if y'all know the scene I'm talking about. Put a one in the scene in the chat. Y'all know what scene I'm talking about.
But you see how the tables turn though, you know, having that and you know, we don't promote, you know, anybody putting their hands on each other. You know, that was just a movie scene. But you know how she lost it, you see, you know, and the tables turn where she needed him after a while. So, but let's digress.
Yeah. So anyways, long story short, y'all, We believe in having joint accounts.
Joint
We believe that
accounts,
that's the
yeah.
best way to go about it.
But that's what works for us.
That's what
you
works for
know.
us. And we believe that it works for a lot of couples that we actually know who have been married for over 15, 20, 30 years. You know what I'm saying? I knew Seiko would know. He's straight. Yeah, Seiko know the scene
Yep,
too.
and Chelsea remembers too.
Yeah. Then she got humbled real quick. Yeah. So, anyways, y'all, that's where we're going with that. So that's our little thing on bank accounts. Now, listen, this whole this whole situation with Ruslan and the lead attorney. All right. Now, let me paint the picture because I told y'all this is all new to Nicole. All right. We're about to play something. All right. Where you have the lead attorney. He's a practicing attorney. Well, actually, he just recently retired because his YouTube channel is popping. I don't blame the brother, but he practiced for 20 or 25 years in law in Atlanta, Georgia. And is mine? Okay. In Atlanta, Georgia. Why is my Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. He practiced for like 20 to 25 years in Atlanta, Georgia. He practiced law. And he has a YouTube channel that's popping where he talks about like various topics, hot topics, and he talks about the court system and all this other stuff. And just he really does a good job of what he does. Now, I wouldn't say that this man is saved. He's not a believer, so to speak. Well, not so to speak, unbelief is a believer. And so anyway, so he was having a live, and a lot of people were just like, hey, you and Ruslan, y'all should talk. So understand, this was never supposed to be a debate. It was just simply, Ruslan came on the show and they were talking and they were discussing certain things. So it never was in the format of, excuse me, in the format of, hey, this is one, we're debating number two. It wasn't anything like that, but they were really having a conversation, and a lot of points in the conversation, he was doing his attorney thing. So people were like, oh, well, Ruslan. I don't get into that whole who won, who lost, all this other stuff. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is they were having a conversation. And so they talked about various things. They were talking about the court system, how the court system is kind of set up to benefit women. And they were on the subject of talking about how if men fight for the kids, the ones who really fight for the kids, they will win and all this other stuff. So anyways, they got into the conversation of prenups. But before we get into this conversation of prenups, I want to pose this question to you. Wills, do you think wills are important?
Yeah, you're talking about like a will.
Yeah, will.
So if something were to happen, yeah.
And so like wills, I think, and shout out to the folks who actually do that as a profession to set up people for wills, because I've seen it to where funerals, they get ugly. Family members, they do fight over stuff. And if you don't have a will, people, it's left up to the court to decide who gets what. How are they going to disperse your valuables when you have gone on to be with the Lord? And so I think while no one necessarily plans to die or gets to the age of 20 and says, you know what, hey, I'm looking forward to dying, let me go ahead and get a will. The job of a will, or the purpose of getting a will, is the just in case I should pass away, this is what I want to be. This is how I want my belongings to be dispersed. This is where I want to be buried. This is who I want to do the funeral. This is the funeral songs I want to be, all this other stuff. Probate court is horrible, like he said, like Seiko said. This is where I want to be buried. This is the casket. I don't want y'all. Or do I want to be cremated or not? All that other stuff is very important, and all those particulars are covered in a will, and it's put in place for the just in case. Or even if people know, hey, I'm about to go, they still need to have it, because they don't want to assume, well, your third, your sixth cousin talk about, no, such and such said they wanted me to have a TV. Like, no, dude, we ain't seen you in 15 years. What are you talking about? I don't know if Uncle Ray Ray even knows who you are, cuz.
Like I was supposed to get the piano.
Yeah, you know, exactly. So
who was that again?
yeah, so and I see so many times, especially within the black and brown community, we just don't do wills, and I think that wills are very important. I say that to set up this whole
And it's
conversation.
considerate for those who are left behind. You know,
Yeah,
just kind of make
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
It's already going to be a stressful situation, an emotional time.
Yeah.
So just to kind of take that part
I'm glad you said that.
off the
A
plate.
stressful and emotional time. And so to take that off the plate, to have to wonder what is going to happen with probate court and all this other stuff, that leads us into a larger conversation with wills. All right. So listen, we're going to I want to share my screen because we are going to well, here's the part where Sharon Woods and I part ways. Okay. So I don't know. What are you talking about with wills? I don't know what you're talking about. Wills. Okay. Let's see. Probate court is real. Take your time. What I'm doing. This about to get good. Okay, listen. I'm about to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. I'm about to share this screen. System audio. Do I want to do system audio? No. Because system audio, I'm trying to think.
It's like, Chelsea, help us out.
Yeah, because the system. Well, what you mean? What you talking about? Like I ain't got it?
No,
Is that what you're
I'm
saying?
sure you have it, but you were asking a question.
Okay. When you put system audio, does that make it to where you might end up having an echo? Like you put system audio, or should I say, you know what? Don't do no system audio.
I think you have to do system audio for them to be able to hear the video, right?
Well, I got this on here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Bump it.
Let's try.
We're gonna go with the system audio. How about that? Doubling down. How about that? Okay. System audio. Here we go. All right. Now listen. We're about to play this clip. Now there's gonna be some times where know what I'm saying? We're gonna be talking. We're gonna be talking and all this other stuff, but we're gonna comment on this. Sharing system audio is also if you want to share the audio of a video or anything you're sharing. Okay, yeah, so I do want it. Okay, cool.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Okay, here we go. I'm about to play this clip. And y'all, before I get into that, let me go and let me make sure I go to the right mark. Go to the right mark. Hold on. Okay. The 827. Okay. 820. Here we go. Okay.
And so this was recently?
Oh yeah, this was recent. This was either earlier this week or last.
Like I'm, faith-based stuff, man. I'm a spectator, right?
Oh.
Can you explain to me what the pushback is from the faith-based community against prenups? I think.
My bad. Let me go into this. I had it right. Here we go. 140 mark. Y'all bear with me. Here we go. They're going to have a lovely conversation. Sorry, I said conversation. They're going to have a lively conversation about prenups, and we're going to be commenting throughout the whole conversation here.
Might be coming from different places. We might arrive at the same conclusions.
You're not anti-marriage.
Hold on, before we go into this, she said I think my first comment was not understood. Trusts are entities that people use to avoid probate court and protect assets. It takes the place of wills and protect. Okay, thank you, sister. We appreciate that. Thank you. Can you clarify? I do appreciate it. Thank you so much for clarifying. We do appreciate that for real, because that makes all the sense in the world. I'm glad she came back. Thank you. We appreciate it, sister. We appreciate it. We believe you're a sister, right? We believe you're a sister, right? You are in Christ. We're assuming. Put one in the chat if you are a believer in Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? We don't like to assume. All right, y'all. Listen, let's go to the 140 mark. All right, here we go.
You're not anti-marriage.
Not at all.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so we agree marriage is
But
good.
I'm not anti-divorce either. Like I'm not anti-marriage. I'm not anti-divorce. I'm pro-marriage. I'm pro-divorce. I am pro whatever will improve your life, right? But I am pro prenup. I'm pro protect yourself.
Absolutely.
I'm pro making informed decisions.
Amen.
Right? If you can make informed decisions and you can protect yourself, that is the best case scenario. Will it guarantee anything? No.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees.
So do you think prenups are essential for someone like me where we got married? I mean, I've been married, it'll be 15 years this July. Both started out with nothing. Both started out poor. There was no prenup. My wife is
Oh, babe, and if you want to comment, just tap me, whatever, because I'm gonna stop it when I feel like commenting.
Oh,
That's all.
helped me build up the business. She's created an amazing, stable home. My kids get homeschooled, meals. She stays at home. I go get the bag. You know what I mean? In our situation, we don't have a prenup, nor do I want one. You know, because it's kind of after the fact, right? 18 years later. But do you think in a situation where two people are starting and doing the IKEA marriage situation, would you still?
the 3-strand cord,
Yeah.
you know, and knowing it's not just about you and your spouse, but God. You're in covenant relationship. So you're not just going to hop out when things get hard, or if someone gets sick, or the person's getting on your nerves, or someone loses their job. You know, it's not conditional and situational. To me, the prenup almost says, I'm expecting for something to go wrong.
Yeah.
And when it does, then I am protected in this way.
Mm.
So, I mean, that's just my current perspective on it. Y'all can kind of give us your lens, but that's where I'm leaning towards with it. You know, it's just
So-
almost sending the message that I really don't feel like this is fully gonna
Yeah, and like this fully gonna work. And I think that's where the Christian where we come, our viewpoint comes in with the church, because we always get into something with the belief of till death do we part. And so if you go into it with the mindset or with the worldview of marriage is supposed to be forever till death do you part, unless something happens to where you get a divorce, biblically, like something by biblical standards, what the Lord allows for you to get a divorce for that reason. That notwithstanding, we're not talking about that. We're talking about, for all intents and purposes, it's supposed to be till death do you part. And it seems like sometimes if you have a prenup, it's all, well, year 7 has been rough. We got the prenup and we got the prenup ready to go. I'm not feeling it. And then you got the prenup already ready. So you're already kind of almost, I can see what other people are saying on the other side of that argument. And we're going to get more into this in a minute. But from almost like the Christian worldview almost says okay, listen, don't even start making the bed, because if you make a bed, eventually somebody going to have to lay in it. Oh, that's a bar.
Yeah.
That's a bar. Hold on. I got it. That's a bar.
Go ahead.
That's a bar.
Yeah. Drop the bomb.
Oh, well, I pick and choose.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, he would love for you to entertain or to repeat your statement. What were you saying?
Okay, so I'm not sure what part y'all heard and what not. So I'll just kind of summarize. I was just saying that, the importance of really being saved and having that relationship with, Jesus Christ, and letting God direct your path, truly direct your path in every area of your life. Because when you jump in, or when you get married, it shouldn't just be something you jump in based on your own personal desires. It should be something that okay, this is God ordained. He has shown us in different ways that this is the person that he would have for me to marry. And so when you go into it with that confidence of, Lord, this is something that you let me into, so I'm going to be in it for the long haul. I'm looking at this as a covenant relationship, and not just something when the person gets on my nerves, or if they get sick, or if they lose everything, to where I'm just hopping out of it. Then you're in it for the long haul. Yeah. So I was just saying that, based on my current understanding of prenups, I kind of view it as you're almost expecting something to go wrong or happen in the marriage, to where it's okay, I'm having this to protect me. I'm looking out for myself just in case. So yeah, I don't know, but you might be able to offer another lens or perspective that I haven't considered.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, but yeah, so we're going to let this play, and we're going to have some more comments, but he's going to get into that, and we're going to get y'all, because it got late real quick. We're talking about the pandering to women, and then we're going to cut it off from there. I'm not going to get into the other things. We're got to table that for maybe later on this weekend or something, or maybe Monday or Tuesday, something like that. We'll figure it out, but we'll come back in the next couple of days and come with those other points with Hafeez on marriage, because that's really interesting. And also, should Christians even go to divorce court? We're gonna get into that on the when we come back. But yeah, let's go ahead and continue.
Hey, Ruslan, and I know that you're paying the fees.
You're right.
They might get ran up. They might get ran up because Ruslan.
So what he is saying is that, listen, if I think he got to the point to where those folks who those men who decide not to have a lawyer in divorce court, and if I know you're paying the fees, I'm gonna run it up. I think he got to that point. Let's see.
Got it, right? Mm-hmm. So a prenup protects you from people like me. Right? You need that protection. Right?
That's good. No, that's good.
So these are some of the things. There's nothing wrong.
So it seems like the biggest thing for you is the alimony and the legal fees. Those are the two big things that, if something were to ever happen, those things shouldn't be, one party shouldn't be handling it.
Generally, if it depends on the case. If we're talking about two 22-year-olds who won't have anything and they want to get married, fine. But things.
Well, I mean, that was our situation. I was 23.
Yeah.
My wife was 21.
Go
So
ahead.
that's kind of like the point we were bringing up, and I think that was what I forget who was it that had that comment earlier that I read out loud about. It depends on maybe your age or how much your financial situation. You
Mhm.
remember who that was?
Was it our sister? The she seemed like she's an attorney.
Yeah, but it just goes right along with what we were talking about, like
Mhm.
how, like Ruslan saying he and his wife were young when they got married. So they built together. And then, you and I, we were young. So we're, it's like if you don't really have anything and you're starting
Right.
off like you're literally building your life together.
Yeah.
So you don't really necessarily need to consider that. So I don't know. It does make you think, because it's like I still kind of stand on, like if it's God ordained, but I'm just trying to think about if it's somebody who is established and they have a good paying job,
Mhm.
and I'm just being real, that might be a little harder, huh? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I don't know.
And then too, with the environment in which we have marriage right now, like it's some brothers that get fleeced in the courts, because the courts are, like, for instance, I didn't play this part of the conversation, but like how like the courts automatically most of the time give the kids to the wife, even if the wife is not maybe the most suitable parent, because automatically they just and then all that other stuff, and then so that's part of it. But then it's also too, like, you have to pay alimony, and it's like you could be paying alimony for 10-15 years and she's moving.
But the prenups don't cover child custody though.
Well,
right?
well, if you can come to some agreement outside of court, sometimes, like, sometimes with prenups, I believe, y'all, I'm not versed on it, but I believe
that's a whole
prenups and
different-
all that,
I don't know.
it mostly involves
Like your
finances and stuff. But then with having,
possessions.
they're going to talk about this, like, you paying alimony. This woman has been remarried for 10 years and you still paying it. Yeah. Look, yeah.
I
So
did hear him make
this
that
is what,
comment.
yeah.
There you go.
So if you were, so just say, let's just flash back 15 years ago. Me and you were hanging out. We're friends. We're friendly. We end up at a restaurant, and I'm like, man, I'm getting married in 6 months, or I'm about to propose. Would this be something that you would have brought up to me 15 years ago?
100%.
Wow. Okay.
100%. Because if for some reason, your wife decides to cash you out, 18 years, does she work outside the home?
No, that's what I mean. But like, what's the, so this is how I see it, and maybe this is very blue pill of me, but my wife has also put her career on hold. My wife has also passed up a ton of opportunity. My wife has also passed up, you know what I mean? Like, she's been the primary care provider, right? So if I were to have a prenup, hypothetically, when we didn't have it.
So Seiko, okay. So Seiko said it can cover whatever you want to cover. So I didn't realize that as a prenup, the child part, I thought the child custody part was totally separate. So y'all gonna make me do some I mean, I guess I don't just.
Ain't you so glad we ain't dealing?
Yeah, because I haven't really even thought about that.
Because we have friends that have. I know a brother that had spent upwards to 70 grand on his kids to have his kids. Now the brother has full custody, but he went through something for years. I'm talking about not 2 years. I'm talking about for the better half of a decade to get those kids. It can get very expensive, and there are brothers who will contend to have their children in their lives. That's why I hate when I hear people say that men don't want it. Yeah, I know that may be very anecdotal of me, but I can just tell y'all for what I see. And there's a lot of brothers who are in my circle and that I see who are good fathers or seem to be good fathers. They show the attributes of good fathers, and they love their children. So, anyways, go ahead.
I'm not even thinking about the child part. I'm thinking about more so of the other financial piece.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying the child part's not important, but in my mind, I'm still compartmentalizing. That, to me, that's so like separate. Like when I hear prenup, I just really think material possessions, who's getting,
She brought up a good point.
what, but
When people are older and may have children from a previous relationship, you may want to prenup.
I mean, and that's why I'm trying to really just be open-minded and consider it from, those different lenses.
It's a good discussion.
It is. It's a good discussion
because it doesn't it's not the Bible. Like the Bible didn't come out and say, "Well, you ain't gonna have." But I think anytime you go into covenant relationship with your spouse, of course you need to do it in good faith. But this is why I did the prerequisite conversation of the will, because it's you didn't go into life, you did the just in case. And so while you're not planning to get a divorce, the prenup is the just in case. Because
they're perspective. It surely is. Because at first, I guess I'm just so old school to where, at first I was just thinking about how it just sounded like it was based on fear.
Yeah.
Like fear of, if it doesn't work out, fear of if the person decides to take all my things and run off, and so it's just, that's where I was heading with it at first. That's just where my mind initially went, just keeping it real. So that's why I was like, okay, I don't know if it's good. But then you think about insurance.
Yeah.
Do you get insurance? I don't know. It's really a...
Well, and I'm going to share this story because TD Jake said it over a decade ago on live TV. He came home from work some morning. I mean, it was some day, one of the days when he lived in the backwoods of West Virginia, and he found his wife in the bed with another man. Now at that point, they were still, dirt po. But I'm just saying, I brought that up to say this stuff happens in life. Like while you may love your wife, that stuff happens, and like in that situation, he had the biblical right to divorce Sarita Jakes, but he did not. Y'all see where they are today. They've moved on, yada, yada, yada. To God be the glory. But stuff happens. And it's not necessarily that you don't trust the one you're with. You just understand that things can go awry. And so with that being said, y'all, says that that's what I used to believe too, sis, until Jeremiah. Okay, what did he say? He says,
check it out.
But
yeah, no, I'm saying I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, but with the prenup, if he had one, that would cover who has primary custody of the children. That would be binding in court. Okay, good point. Let's continue with this conversation. Thanks, y'all. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all in the chat.
Anything, we built a whole life together. One of the reasons why I'm successful, and I have no problem saying this, is because I have a stable, loving marriage. I don't have a sexless marriage. I'm in an amazing union that allows me to go out and do the things that I'm able to do, make the kind of money that I'm able to make. So why would I not want her to be taken care of, right? Why would I want, are you following along with what I'm saying? Like if we were to separate, like she's taken the bigger L financially in her entire trajectory of her life, had she not married and been a mom and been a stay-at-home wife.
So why don't you just control that? Why are you letting some 70-year-old man determine how much your wife, the love of your life, why are you letting this man determine how much support you are going to give? You're your own man, right?
What do you mean by 70-year-old? Are you talking about the court system? Is that what you're saying?
I'm talking about the judge who's going to put that alimony on you. Why don't, if you're such the man and you love your wife so much, why don't you put in the prenup how much alimony you're going to pay her?
Well, I'm asking these things because I think if someone's independently wealthy, I would be 100% with you. If I'm 30 and someone's worth a couple M's, I would be like, yes, it's just a no-brainer. I'm asking these questions because I'm genuinely curious if you would have given me the same advice 15 years ago as a 23-year-old kid.
100% put zero alimony. And if you guys get married in 18 years and she puts her life on hold and all this and all that, well, guess what? She gets 50% and you get 50%. But guess what you can do, Ruslan? You can send her checks. You determine how much you're going to pay. You determine how many months you're going to pay. You can pay 12 months. You can pay 24 months. You can pay 36 months, 48 months. You can pay 60 months, 72 months. You determine. You don't let some old man in a robe determine how much you are going to support your ex-wife. Right? So there's nothing saying, oh, well, she sacrificed herself for the kids and now, she's not getting any support. No, you support her. The thing is, you're your own man. You're in control of your destiny. So you decide how much you're going to support her.
Of course.
You determine what your alimony payments are going to be and just go from there.
Of course. I think that's fair.
Through the prenup. Is that what he's saying? I don't know. I mean, I know he may mean well in what he's saying, but I don't know. There's just a little bit of
and I see and shout out to Ruslan too. I'm gonna say I'm gonna tell y'all why, because Ruslan, and for those of y'all who don't know, Ruslan is married to a black woman. I know that may be neither here nor there for y'all, but may add little context for some people. For some of y'all really don't care. But listen, he seems like a very stand-up dude, and I've had, a little conversations with Ruslan before. And we text sometimes and all that stuff, but I really think he's doing all of this in good faith, and he's really coming to this conversation like, "Hey, I just want to know, what is your expertise on this? Since you're the law attorney, like you're the attorney, and understand this, they're coming from two different worldviews. Ruslan is coming from the biblical worldview, and he's looking at it as covenant. So this is where I'm gonna do right by my wife because she has given up so much." And I think most Christian men worth their salt would feel that way. But but he's straight cut though. And I'm not demonizing him for this though, but he's an attorney, and so he's seen the worst of the worst cases. I
want to touch on though, because that's what I was saying. And Seiko, I know what you're saying, that was the best response that he gave. And I'm not saying that it was a bad response. That's why I said I think he meant well with what he was saying, but there's just some kind of hurt I'm discerning with him. Like I'm looking at him.
He's been through this too. And that's the problem.
I have some questions. Like I want to know, like you, and I think you answered it earlier, is he saved? Because that's going to really determine how you're viewing things. 2, I want to know if he's married.
No, he is not.
Okay.
He's divorced.
And I kind of pick up on that in the way that he's responding.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there is an edginess there.
There's a little bite
to it. There's a little bite to it. There's some bitterness. There's some hurt. And I know y'all are probably like, you're just looking at a video and you see all that, but I do. Like, I'm really discerning some things with the way he's responding.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he means any harm, but I just see a man who has, like you pointed out, has seen things. He's been through some things, and I'm not taking away from his experiences at all, because that does often shape the way we look at things, right?
Yeah. And I think,
think we also have to be mindful of who we take counsel from.
Well, that's true. Well, that's true, and I think that's why he's not coming to this man for like spiritual advice. He's coming like the technicalities of the law, like the letter of law. This man has it. And so part of what you also see is that if we were, because I've seen the whole conversation, he talked about how he's seen the worst of people, and he's seen where you reading the chats.
Isaiah,
you in the chats
made me laugh because he says, "Did she really just play the Who Hurt You?" No, I see hurt. I'm being for real. This man is all
Isaiah,
over him.
What's up, bro? How you doing? I ain't never seen Isaiah before, but
thank you for chiming in.
Subscribe to the channel, bro.
Yeah, but like I really see that. Like if you really just put your spiritual ear to what he is saying, it's like, oh my gosh, there's some deep rooted stuff there. And like Seiko earlier, he was like, as a man of God, like as a Christian, I'm gonna want to do right by my wife without someone having, to tell me. And I think that's what he was trying to get to, but just that whole having to put the paperwork piece to it. Yeah. Like if you're truly and I'm looking at it from the Christian perspective. We're that Christian fam. And so I am. That's the lens I'm looking at it from. As if you're really, in covenant relationship with God and you're really listening, you're going to want to do right by your spouse.
Yeah. No, I get you. Isaiah said you came with that all.
I hate him!
She said you came. Isaiah said you came with that thunder. No, but in all seriousness, like, he said, I've seen very itty moms leave with everything. I've seen the worst mothers who don't deserve to have their children end up with children because dudes don't have a prenup. He's seen horrible dads. He's seen grandparents who should have the children don't get the children because the parents are crappy and they don't need to go with the mama. But since she's the mama, she get the kids and she's not a fit mother. He's seen the worst of the worst. And so part of what you see is he's coming with such a conviction because he said he has been hurt, not just personally, but having to be an attorney, he's having to be on the side of the mother, and he's really like logically on the side, personally, emotionally, he's on the side of the father, but because he is representing the mama, who is a horrible human being, he's like, this is not right. So that's part of what you see in this. You see somewhat of an anger based on not just his personal experience with it happening in him, but also because of the practices.
And you and Seika are definitely giving me a different perspective. I'm telling you. You can tell I have not even put any thought to prenups. I mean, I'm just saying because, and based on the conceptual understanding that I did have, I thought that it was really just based on monetary types of things like material.
Wow.
So that's why I know you keep kind of bringing back the children and it's been coming up in the chat, but like I literally am separating y'all because I'm like, a child is not material. That's not, it's a life.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, okay, that's something totally separate. You know how like we go into child custody types of things. I didn't even know that could be a part of a prenup because it's like that's not the same as the car.
We're talking about a person.
We're talking
here.
about in life.
Yeah, but
so that's why I'm having a hard time.
And that's why you're going to see he advises people to kind of come to an agreement before it goes. Like y'all get in the room together and talk it out with y'all lawyers before it even goes to the court, so y'all can have an agreement. Because if it goes to court, most of the time, brother, you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
you're gonna lose. And I like what Position for Million says. She says, I agree with you. I never thought about a prenup until the person I was dating brought it up because he didn't have one in his first marriage, so he wanted to get one. He wanted one if he married again. That's a very good point.
And Chelsea had a good point up above too. Right there. That's perfect. She said, these are the conversations us singles need to have early on. And I think that is something important, before you do get into covenant relationship, to really just kind of talk about what your understanding is, what your stance is, and how you view it.
Yeah,
so that's a good point, Chelsea.
Definitely. All right.
I think that's fair. I'll be honest with you. You just changed my mind about prenups. I think that's very fair.
There we go. Changing one mind at a time. Hey, that's what we're doing on the channel.
That's a W. I think that's a very fair point. I think when you have the religious dynamic involved, that could be a tricky conversation. Even me talking about prenups at all, which Hafeez is not anti-prenup, but even when we talk about prenup and all, we get a lot of pushback from the faith-based community. But I think that's a fair point. When you, hey man, that's a W. I got no pushback. I think that's fair.
And let me say this too, because I'm gonna let you pull rank because I already stated it in the beginning. Like I'm, faith-based stuff, man. I'm a spectator, right?
Okay, real quick, we're going to talk about this real quick, and then
can you explain to me what the pushback is from the faith-based community against prenups?
I think it's
y'all. What they about to share is alarming, and this is exactly why we talk about how. There are certain pastors, or a lot of, especially African-American pastors, who are failing the Black church. Let's get into this real quick.
Hey, if something is a covenant.
And it may be in other churches too, but I know in particularly because I am in the Black church, it really goes down in the Black church. Listen to this.
And you're already pledging the rest of your life, and divorce will never be an option. Why do you even need to have these sorts of conversations? That's kind of like the pushback. Even though I'm not sure if you're familiar with who Dave Ramsey is, but Dave Ramsey also recommends prenups for people that are financially independently wealthy.
Oh, really? I know he's really paid.
He's gotten pushback for that as well. He's gotten backlash for that as well. So Dave Ramsey recommends it. I don't quite understand. I had a pastor come on my channel and we had this exact conversation, and I laid out, hey, like if someone's out here worth a couple M's, if someone's independently wealthy, why would you not want them to protect themselves if something were to go wrong. And he agreed, like the pastor agreed, Dave Ramsey agreed. So I think it's
to let y'all know, TLA, the lead attorney, is really curious. Like, hey, listen, why don't more pastors agree to talk about prenups? And TLA is thinking, hey, you know what? He's going on the spiritual side. TLA, the one who's outside of the church, saying, you know what? I think they have a reservation on discussing this in the church because of the spiritual aspect of meaning, hey, once we're in it, we're in it. We don't need to make provisions for a divorce. We need to go into it, head first, head over heels. Let's go. So that's what spirit or what mindset he's coming to the conversation with. Okay, he's hoping for the best. Check this out. Watch where Ruslan puts them on game. Here we go.
It could just be triggering for women. I think this is some of that third and fourth wave feminism. If we're honest, like I think there's some of that. Like women
it's some of that. It's some pastors are against it because it can be triggering to women.
No. The audience. I think when most pastors hear the argument you just laid out, or the argument I laid out with someone being like the Dave Ramsey independently wealthy argument, I think from my experience, most pastors are like, oh yeah, no, that's reasonable, right? And so I think with the argument you laid out, I would think most pastors would be like, yeah, no, that's reasonable. That's a reasonable.
So most pastors agree that it's reasonable. Here's why they don't share it with their congregation.
Conclusion.
But it wouldn't be necessarily accepted by the audience.
Probably not by the audience. Probably not by the. They would cook me if they would cook me just to conceding that point. That was a great point. They would be very upset with me to be like, yeah, no, that's actually fair.
Listen, Ruslan, you're being so real, man, and I appreciate that. How does it feel to have to hide the truth because women won't accept something?
I don't, man. I don't. Like, remember, I'm
not
the guy.
You necessarily, but other pastors, not you, but just like, how does that make you? Does that make you feel that? Wow. I don't want to say this is an indictment on the whole church, but it's like if pastors are unwilling or reluctant to say something that's the truth because women don't want to hear it. And listen, my grandfather was a pastor. What you're saying, I think you're being completely transparent and honest about the fact that, you can't be a great pastor if you look out in front of your congregation, there's no one sitting there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if there's a truth that will turn people away from the door and have your congregation empty, a pastor might sit on that truth.
Yeah, I would.
But
we're not supposed to, though.
We're not supposed to. Right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And the viciousness is that truth is the number one thing that can protect men.
The truth of the specifically the prenup, which you just talked about.
Prenup. Yeah. The truth that pastors are incentivized to sit on, incentivized to stay silent on, is the number one thing that can protect a man in a marriage.
Well, to be fair,
that's the church.
Yeah, I think sometimes the church fails in a variety of areas, whether that's financial literacy.
So is he saying that prenups protect only men? Is that what he was saying?
Oftentimes, and historically, it really protects the men, especially if the men are the ones bringing in most. You see what I'm trying to say? Because, and also too, not even if they're the ones bringing in the most, understanding that the court system is already geared to cater to the woman. And so if you have a prenup, the prenup kind of protects you against getting fleeced in the court system. And but so
nowadays it could be the woman getting.
Oh yeah. But here's the thing. But what we're saying is, but that's not the majority of situations. The majority of situations is still where they're either equal or the man is the breadwinner. But even if the woman is making more, she still could take him for almost everything that he has based on how the court system is set up. If you don't have a prenup and so women being that, like we talked about with this third wave feminism in the church, this pseudo Christian woman, this men in the pulpit, weak jellyback pastors who are catering towards women, and we about to wrap up, y'all, who pander towards women because they say what women want to hear instead of what thus saith the Lord in a lot of cases, and in this case, what both parties should be hearing, even if it doesn't speak to the woman's advantage. They don't want to hear it because they don't want to upset the crowd. That's what they're talking about. And so the lead attorney, you'll see he's outraged at this. Check this out.
Whether that's like knowing the legal stuff like that. Everybody doesn't have access to a family attorney to ask questions and be curious, right?
Yeah. So that's all we're playing of that tonight, and we're going to continue this conversation later. But I like position for million. She says the truth that sorry, can you read that?
The truth that will turn some away is the same truth that will draw others. Pastors shouldn't be concerned with who is turned off by the truth.
Amen. Amen. Shout out to that sister for that. But what do you think about that? What do you think about the indictment, like Seiko said, that is on the church, that we have so many pastors who cater or pander to women? They don't say what thus saith the Lord. They don't say what should be said because the audience is majority women. And all they do is empower women and say, you can have your best life now. You can manifest you a husband, manifest you a man, manifest you a car, and all this other stuff. And they don't speak truth to power and tell them what they really need to hear.
I mean, the truth should set you free. That's how I feel about it. The truth. I don't think you need to skate around and try to make someone feel good and, try to feed someone's itching ears. You know how I even talked about that.
Yeah.
And the Bible,
Yeah, exactly.
I think the truth, that's where liberty is. We got to make sure that we're speaking it. So that's interesting. This whole situation to me is really eye-opening because, like I said, I never really thought about prenups before, or even the message that's going out. You all heard, and it's interesting how he said, you could tell I was raised in the church because you see where my mind went. Like, okay, you're entertaining the thought of divorce. So it's a really good topic of discussion.
Yeah, it is.
It makes you think.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody's not trying to be evil. We're really just having these talking points, but these talking points will help people and kind of broaden their perspective on some things, because we praise God. We've never been through this. We pray we never ever go through this. We didn't get into, we got into covenant agreement in marriage with the mindset of till death do we part. It wasn't an 18-year bid. Like, hey, when the kids grow up, man, we didn't have kids when we first got married, no ways. But you know what I'm saying? Some people look at marriage like it's an 18-year bid until the last child gets out. No, we did it till death do we part. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but just like the point brought up earlier is that you have different people and different, situations, different points in life. So it's just something, to consider, as far as when you're, where do you stand on it?
Yeah, exactly.
And is it really black and white?
Yeah, is it black and white? All of that. I mean, I just think for those of us who are like, oh, well, hey, just preach Christ. Yeah, we get it. This is us talking about the Bible and talking about Christian principles and how that looks and how that
in real life on a day.
Yes. When you engage culture, when you engage real life situations, how do we make that to where it is, although it may be counter to, it also needs to kind of work with as well. How do we maneuver living out the word of God, living out godly principles in today's time? And for those of us who are, we're too lazy to have these conversations, these engaging conversations, we don't engage the culture, you'll find yourself by yourself, and you'll find yourself left behind. So we really thought that this would be a very rich conversation to have, on prenups, because it's real. This stuff happens. It happens to Christians every day. All right.
Well, you thought it would be a rich conversation because I didn't know.
Yeah, I thought it would be rich.
It was though. It was eye-opening.
Yeah, so exactly. And so, so you got married. So, this makes you want to revisit one of the reasons why you got married. One of the reasons why you want to get married. You know, I love my wife, but y'all, I love my wife.
It should never
But
be followed up with a but.
oh no, it's a but or an and. I married my wife because I loved her and I did it for the Chiefs. I did it for the Chiefs.
No, it was for
Oh
money.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I did it twofold for the love and the yes. Yes. I don't even speak in tongues. I don't even
He was excited on our
Shonda.
wedding day, rubbing his
Oh, I
hands.
was rubbing my hands. Y'all should have seen me on the wedding day,
Like,
rubbing it.
finally, I've waited all this time. Finally.
Yeah. But hey, listen, y'all can call me vain, y'all can call me shallow, but hey, that's why I did it. Love to. But y'all, listen, we're going to have a very rich conversation. Me and my wife are
I know
going to
y'all
talk
saw
about
the way I
this.
just looked at him. I know y'all saw that. But go ahead.
Me and my wife, we're going to talk about it because we do want to come back quickly before this stuff gets old. We're going to talk about should Christians even go to divorce court? And we're going to talk about Hafeez. For those of y'all who do not know who Hafeez is, he is one of the members of the YouTube channel. They have a YouTube channel called The Roommates. He's the dark-skinned African brother. He has a lot of good content, and he really engages in the world of male empowerment and also the manosphere, the red pill, all the stuff. And he disagrees with a lot of their talking points. And he recently had two different things where he went on a show called Just Pearly Things. And the first conversation, they say he got roasted. The second conversation, they say he beat her. But anyways, we're going to talk about Hafeez in this thing of marriage because he was recently married. But he's teaching.
And we have
on
a
marriage.
comment that just came in that says, sorry, I just joined when getting married. Do you think financial stability? Can we show that?
Yeah, hit it. I'm trying to teach her to get versed in this, y'all.
Okay. So do you think financial stability is
There you go.
Okay, is a top priority for 30-year-olds versus 20-year-olds? And so I want to challenge you to like this video, subscribe, and we're going to add that question to a future live. How about it?
On the next live, we're going to add it to the next live.
Yep.
The next live. So, baby, you good at writing? Can you
Okay.
please write that down? Because we're going to answer that question on the next live.
Yeah.
While we address the two other situations that we just talked about, y'all. So we're looking forward to diving into it. We do want to thank y'all for your time. And listen, y'all, I know that we address some very serious and very weighty topics. And y'all, we never get on any live or any video, what have you, with the mindset to offend anybody. Like, y'all, listen, we are Christians. We are bought by the blood of the Lamb. We are redeemed. We are forgiven. We are all of that, y'all. So we never look to make war. But you know what I have learned in these mean YouTube streets? Somehow, some way, no matter what you say or how you say it, somehow, some way, somebody gonna find a way to get offended by what you say. But here's what I got to say to all of y'all. For all the trolls or anybody else, if you're offended, I really don't care.
Have a good